New discoveries often happen by almost accident, but we just go and do our best and see what we can observe and see what we can learn. I do know that long term, what we are learning will be of impact and value to the scientific community and hopefully help other researchers in the future. I got involved with the Microplastic Research Project because I took General Chemistry 2 from Dr. Rocks, and at the time I wanted to go to medical school, and having research experience looks great on your medical school application. So I know something that I should probably do. The project has to start with lots of planning, so we did literature reviews, we wrote grants, and then we were able to go and collect samples. And from there we had to spend a lot of time in the lab, filtering samples, dyeing samples, imaging them and counting them to get the data that we wanted. We're looking for microplastics in cave environments. So microplastics travel very well in wind and water, and we wanted to know if wind and water was carrying them into caves, which are traditionally sheltered from wind, and the water has to be filtered as they enter the cave. So we're very interested to see if they're in caves. Sample collection was so much fun. It was one of the most fun things I've ever done. We woke up at like 4 a.m., drove out in a snowstorm to Vernal. I didn't ever really think I was a claustrophobic person until I went into the cave. And some of those squeezes were so tight. We ended up being underground for about 6 hours. The cave is very wet, so you're soaking wet. It's like 40 degrees inside the cave. It's freezing, and you're just squeezing through the tightest places, I'm on my stomach, like trying to like swim almost like through just like the smallest cracks and openings. So it was a lot of fun, unlike anything I've ever done before. We don't really know what microplastics are doing to caves yet. The first thing that we need to understand is how they're moving and where they are and where they're not before we can decide what they're actually doing. So that's the point of this research, is to determine where they are and how they're moving. So by taking samples from different locations in the cave, we're hoping to pinpoint exactly that method of transportation for them. Are they coming in the air? Are they coming in the water? Are they coming off of humans coming into the cave? There's lots of different variables that could be affecting their transportation, and so the point of this research has been to isolate those variables and pin down where they're coming from. Once we know where they're coming from, then we can look into possible methods of prevention if it's determined that they are harmful to the cave. Then after we finished all the sample preparation in the lab, where we filtered them and dyed them, the next point was to look into the microscope and image all the plastics. And from there, the computer program goes and counts them all. So the first point where I could have actually seen, did we find any plastics? Or was there anything in that water we collected? Would have been when I was able to look into the microscope after we did the sample preparation. And at that point in time, I realized that the sample collection is actually the coolest part, because I was so excited to look into that microscope and see what we found. I love research. It's what I look forward to coming to school every day. Working in the lab, what's the next step? What's the next question? The next thing we don't understand that we need to try to figure out. And that's realistically what I want to do for my whole career, is I want to just keep asking questions. So I plan to get a PhD in chemistry, and whether I find myself working at a university or at a company somewhere, I just ultimately hope to be answering the cool questions that no one has ever thought of before and doing innovating research. Yeah. UVU is a place for curiosity. If you want to come here and learn, there will be a conducive learning environment for you to explore your interests.